Hi, I'm Robin, the Sudoku guy, and guess what? This is our first free session. Before I show you a puzzle, I want to cover some of the terms that I use. Here we have a Sudoku grid, and each little white square here, I call them cells. And the puzzle is made up of rows that go here, horizontal rows, and it's made up of columns, vertical columns. There's also these big squares, which I call blocks. There's horizontal blocks, 3 of them. These are horizontal blocks, and these are vertical blocks. And our first lesson, I'm going to be talking about these 3 blocks in terms of their rows. Now, the rows can be called TMB. T stands for the top row, M stands for the middle row, and B stands for the bottom row, and the same applies to these 3. And the same applies to these 3 blocks, horizontal blocks. So here we are, we're ready for our first lesson, horizontal blocks. So here we go with our first puzzle. Now let me tell you up front, this is a really, really easy puzzle. There's lots of numbers there, but I'm going to show you the step-by-step way of getting started. First of all, remember I talked about the horizontal, these blocks. I'm going to call them horizontal blocks. Top, middle, bottom, top row, middle row, bottom row, and we're going to take the first step. And what I look for is a number that's in 2 of those blocks, but not in the 3rd one. And we're going to go easily in a sequential manner. Numbers start with 1 and we'll work our way up to 9. Let's take number 1. If your number 1 in this block is in the bottom row, so it's already there. Number 2 in this block, number 1 is, sorry, in this block is in the middle row. And in this block here, the 3rd block along, we call them horizontal blocks, there's a 1 there. So we don't have to worry about the ones. The ones are already in our 3 horizontal blocks. Let's go to 2 now. 2. In this block here, 2 is in the bottom again. And in this block here, 2 is in the middle of this block. And in this block here, 2 is already there. It's in the top. So we have a bottom, a middle, and a top. That was easy. We don't have to do anything about 2s. Now let's go to 3s. If we look carefully at these 3 horizontal blocks, you will notice that we have a 3 here in the top, in this block. We have a 3 here in this block, but it's at the bottom. Therefore, logic says that if there's a bottom here and a top there, the 3 has to be in one of those 2 cells. Now, what we can do, and this is where you use your little pencil, you put a little 3. Now, some people will say you have different systems for where you put the little numbers in, but if the 3 could go in both of those. And now we come to the next step, and this is a very important step. As soon as you put those little 3s in, you look down the column and see if there's a 3 there, because if there's a 3 in the column, then you can't have 2 3s in this column. That becomes a 3 because in this column we already have a 3. So that cancels out this one. Therefore, we're left with, that's the only place a 3 can go. And you only put a big number in when you know that that is the only place it can go. Now I'm going to teach you, because of that, something to watch for. And it's called finish off the block, or finish off the row, or finish off the column if there's only 1 number left, 1 empty cell. And it just so happens that by putting that 3 in this block, we only have 1 empty cell left in that block. And in fact, if you look carefully, in this row, there's only 1 empty cell. And this is the way you find out what that number is. You count from 1 to 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Where's 5? 6. There's no 6 in there, so we put that in. 6 there. But let's see if we can double check ourselves. There's always two ways of checking sometimes. 1, go through along the whole row. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is missing. We got 7 and 8 and 9. So we put the 6 in. Now we've completed a block. Wee, wepo. And we completed a row. Now by doing that, we got to 3, didn't we? Now let's go to 4s. Here we have a 4 in the top. Here we have 4 in this block, and we have a 4 in this block, but we don't have a 4 in that block. So we can work out through logic where the 4 in this block will go. If it is in the top here, and if it's in the middle here, it has to be in the bottom. So we put a little 4 here, and a little 4 there. Now the next step, once you've done that, is to look down the column. Is there a 4 here? No, there isn't. Look down this column. We've discovered a 4 down here. That means that this cannot be a 4. Therefore, we can make this little 4 into a big 4. And because we did that, we now look carefully, and you will notice that we can go on to 5s. Let's look at the 5s. Here we have a block, and the bottom row of the block, there's a 5. Here we have a block, and in the middle row of the block, there's a 5. Therefore, but this block doesn't have a 5. Therefore, by logic, the 5 must go there, because you can't have two numbers in one line, so this becomes a 5. And you know that that is correct, because there's no 5s down in here. You can double check yourself. Well, guess what? By doing that, we have now discovered that in this block there's only one cell left. If you notice there's the one cell left, you've got to fill it in. If you don't see it, not the end of the world, don't worry. Okay, here we go. We'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, guess what? It's a 6 again. The 6 goes there. Now, have a look carefully. This is interesting. If you look at this row here, there's 1 missing. It just so happens that I think it's a 6. Let's check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is not in that row, so 6 has to go there. And you know that is correct because here's a middle, there's a bottom, and there's the top. In other words, you can't have these repeated in those 3 rows. Well, have you noticed that in this row and in this block, we've only got 1 left? Let's count out, find out what it is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 has to go there. There's nowhere else it can go. Now that block's got 1 to 9 in it. Now that we've done that, we have completed, whoopee, blocks 1, 2, and 3. Now, that doesn't always happen at the beginning, but this is really easy. Now let's go to these 3 blocks. We'll start with 1 and work through to 9. Here's the 1. Guess what? There's not a 1 here, and there's not a 1 there. Forget it. Don't worry about it. Go to number 2. Now, I know some of you who are experienced, you can say, yes, you can find a 1, but we'll come to that later. Here is 2s. We have a bottom on this block. It's a top. Therefore, it has to be in the middle on this block. It's there. We've got it. We don't have to worry about them. Let's go to 3s. Here's a 3 on the top on this one. Here's a 3 in this block in the middle. And here's a 3. Whoops, it's not there. We have 2 3s. We can work out that this becomes your 3 because we must have one of each of these. So it's a top and a middle and a bottom. 4s. Let's look at 4s. This block has got a 4. This block doesn't. This block does have a 4. We have a middle and we have a top here. This middle block here has to have a 4, and because the top is taken and the bottom and the middle is taken, it has to be this one. And we could have also worked that out by noticing that that was the only one left in this column. We can double check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now, let's go to 5s. Fives in these 3 blocks. We have a 5 in this one in the top. We have a 5 in this one in the bottom. Therefore, the 5 must be one of these 2 in the middle. So we put a little 5 in. And now we look up the column or down the column, because we now got them above and below. And if you look up, do you notice that here we have a 5? That means that this can't be having a 5, because you cannot have a number repeated in a row, column, or block. So therefore, this becomes the 5. Way to go, we've got the 5s done. Now what about the 6s? Well, if I look at this carefully, this, whoops, I've just noticed something. Did you notice that this block has only got 1 cell left? Let's fill it in. And it's, well, guess what it is? We start with 1 and it's not there, so it's got to be a 1. Way to go. Okay, now let's go back. We were doing the 6s, weren't we? This block here has a 6 at the bottom. This block has a 6 in the middle row. This block has no 6, but it has to be in the top. Bottom, middle, has to be in the top, so it becomes a 6. Now we've only got 1 left in this row. Let's fill it in. What number will it be? Well, it just turns out to be a 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All the others are there, so that is a 1. Now that we've done that, this block has only got 1 left. Let's count through to 9 and see what it is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 is missing. 8, 9. So we put the 7 in. Now that we've done that, guess what? There's only 1 left in this block. And 1 left in this row, so we can work that one out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 is missing. Now we could have done it this way too. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That way as well. Now we've solved another 3 horizontal blocks. Way to go. We're getting there. It's going to come close. We're getting there very quickly. 1s. We'll do 1s, 2s to 9 up in these 3 blocks now. Let's have a look at the 1s. We have a 1 in the top here, a 1 in the bottom here of that block. This one doesn't have a 1. It has to be in the middle, so it goes there. Take the 2s. We have a 2 in the top here. We have a 2 in the bottom of this block, but we don't have a 2 in this one. And it cannot be there or there, because you've already got a 2 in that row, and it cannot really. So it has to be here. Top, middle, bottom. Okay, 3s. Here's a 3. There's a 3. We have this block with a 3 in the middle. We have this block with a 3 at the bottom. Therefore, this block has to have a 3 up on the top of those 3 rows. Now, if I look up, is there a 3? If you look up, is there a 3 along here? No, there isn't. Have I made a mistake? Yes. Guess what? There's only 1 space left. And guess what it is? It's a 3. So therefore that has to be 3. That's one way of doing it. The other way of noticing it, that this has already got a 3, so that can't be a 3. So there's 2 ways of looking at that. Now, this row has only got a 1 cell left. Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is missing. So we put the 5 in. The column is completed. Way to go. We'll do 6s now. 6, 6, 6. There's a top, a middle, and a bottom. The top, middle, and this one doesn't have a 6. It has to be on the bottom. So there it is. Very good. I've just noticed something. I don't know if you've noticed this, but look. If you look here, see this column? There's only 1 left. Let's count up and find out what's left in it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's a 9. Then this block and this, we've only got 1 left, so let's count them up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 is missing. That goes to 7 there. Okay, now we were up to 6. Well, let's do the 7s. There's a bottom, there's a middle, and a top. Done, forget it. Okay, 8s. We have a top, we have a bottom. This is top. We have a bottom row in here in this block. This block doesn't have an 8, so we put a little 8 in here and a little 8 there. Now we look up to see if there's an 8 somewhere. Is there an 8 up in here? Oh, yes, there is. So that can't be an 8, because you can't have 2 8s in a column, row, or block. So we'll rub that one out, and this one becomes and 8. Now we're almost there. Guess what? Let's count up to see what this one is. We could do it two ways. We can count down the column, or we can count in the block. Let's do the block. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're missing a 5. Let's double check. And we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No numbers repeated. Yippee! We've completed our first very easy puzzle. So when we complete a puzzle, I like to have a good smile. Now next lesson we go a little further and we cover other things. So thanks for joining me on the first free lesson. Bye for now. Au revoir.